But it's time now on the programme for our health and science segment, and today we're talking about insomnia. Now, according to several recent studies, it's been on the rise, particularly since the start of the pandemic, and it is reported to affect people who had COVID and those who've not had it rather. Julia Seeger, our health editor, is with me to unpick the data for us. And Julia, scientific journals have coined a new phrase. They're calling it coronasomnia or even COVID-somnia.
That's right. Insomnia is actually considered as one of the most recurrent and common long-haul COVID symptoms, along with muscle weakness and intense fatigue, but also neurological problems. Now, a study has found that about 10 to 30% of people who have contracted COVID-19 are now suffering from long COVID. And another study, this time it's a meta-analysis, which compiles studies from around the world, says that having had a COVID-19 infection increases the risk of suffering from insomnia by about 37%. Now, it's important to understand that as of now, we still don't understand what causes long COVID. But we have found in those people that there are what we call viral reservoirs, both in their organs, but also their tissues. And we find them a little bit everywhere. So you'll find them in the esophagus, as you can see here, in the thyroid, but also in the ovaries. So we find that in all of the people who suffer from long COVID. And one way perhaps to explain why long COVID triggers insomnia is because it disrupts the gut microbiome. So what is it? Well, it's trillions of microorganisms that are lodged, that live in your intestinal tubes, and you have good and bad bacteria. And this is a very intelligent ecosystem that's going to send chemical signals to your brain, for instance, to tell you to sleep. Now, it's often said that it is a second brain indeed. It's going to send those signals. And if the system itself is disrupted, then of course the signal that it sends to the brain is also disrupted. So scientists have found that people who have had COVID-19 tend to have a disrupted gut microbiome, but at the same time, those who previously had a depleted gut microbiome before the infection tended to develop a more severe case of COVID-19 as well.
But it's not just those who've had COVID who are suffering right now, Julia. Experts say that insomnia is on the rise among the general population.
Exactly, regardless of infection. Of course, we know that this pandemic has caused various lockdowns throughout the world that has led to less social interaction, less physical activity, also more time spent on screens, more daytime naps as well, and all of this. And for others, it's also been, anxiety and stress and loneliness, and all of these are actually factors that trigger anxiety and that trigger insomnia. And because one of the reasons why is because it disrupts your internal clock. This is what we call the circadian rhythms. It's approximately a cycle around 24 hours, and all of your organs are actually plugged on that very precise 24-hour cycle.
Even before COVID, though, insomnia has been a big problem for many people, Julia. Here in France, it's been estimated that 1 in 3 people have difficulty falling asleep.
That's right. And more than 11.5 million people in France actually use sleeping pills on a regular basis. Of course, if you face severe and chronic insomnia, you can turn to antidepressants, but there are many natural ways to actually beat it. So here are some advice. You can wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night at a regular time every day. The idea is, once again, to try to regulate that circadian clock of yours. You can also eliminate alcohol and other stimulants like coffee and also nicotine after 3 p.m. Try to exercise, of course, every other day, at least 30 minutes. That also helps falling asleep at night. Limit the naps during the day, of course. And I think this is also an important point, is trying to create that relaxing bedtime routine. Take a warm shower, perhaps take a foot bath with salt. It actually helps a lot. You can also favor a very light dinner, this time with slow carbohydrates. So this kind of goes against everything we've ever heard, but slow carbohydrates are potatoes, pasta, rice, and try to eat 2 hours before going to sleep. Also try to be in a room that's kind of chill, so about 20 degrees Celsius.
We're hearing more and more about weighted blankets as well that can help people. Tell us a bit about what they are.
So weighted blankets are actually blankets that are much heavier than the usual blankets that we have, and we tend to use them on children, for instance, who suffer from autism, because it's heavier. It's going to, pressure your whole body, your muscles, but also your joints, and it's going to give you that feeling of security that you need to kind of let go and fall asleep. And there's also this home remedy, but it was actually in a study just a few weeks ago. Extracts of orange blossoms. This is a magical plant that reduces cortisol levels. It also reduces blood pressure. And the scientific study actually found that it's much more effective than any classic antidepressant on the market today for reducing stress and anxiety.
I want to try one. You've sold it to me. Well done. Julia Seeger for us there. Thanks very much.
Thank you.